Welcome to Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold. I'm a board-certified music therapist, author, and expert on how to use music to relieve stress fast. This podcast is sponsored by McConnell Music Therapy Services, Inc., where they believe in the power of music to transform people and communities. Based in Northern California, their board-certified music therapists support people of all ages and abilities within hospitals, schools, corporations, and communities using music experience to connect, express, and de-stress. Visit them at mcconnellmts.com or their Facebook page, McConnell Music Therapy. This episode of Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold is also sponsored by Dr. Nisi, trainer and certifier of master and executive coaches, because she believes every person, every relationship, every business, and your finances should be extraordinary. Find out more about Dr. Nisi Moore and the Life Coaching Institute at www.drnisi.com. That's DRNEECIE.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold. It's so great to be with you. I'm so glad you're here. And I just got to start out with a big, giant, heartfelt thank you. Thank you to everybody who's left a review on Apple Music, particularly because that's where I look and see reviews, because I don't think you can leave a review on Spotify. Especially EMIHN. This one's just touched me so much. The review reads, "My nighttime downtime. Tim creates a level of music that keeps me focused on beats and rhythm. It helps me move my anxiety and even frustration to a different area of my mind so I can fall asleep in peace. Plus, I like hearing the sound of his voice. It's calming. I look forward to the next episodes." Thanks, EMIHN. It makes me so happy to hear that my music helps you fall asleep in peace. That's awesome. So if you are enjoying this podcast, would you hook me up and leave a review as to how you're using it to help you? I'd really love to know. And if it sounds like I'm begging, it's because I am. All right. So in the words of John Cleese from Monty Python, now for something completely different. I'll say that in English. Now for something completely different. As you know, I recently hosted the Stress Elimination Summit, and the speakers were on point, 18 in all, addressing how to reduce stress in your body, mind, relationships, and spirit. I'm going to share one of those presentations today because it has helped me on 3 different occasions since I heard it. I'll be back with a relaxing track next week, but in the meantime, enjoy this excerpt from the summit. It's my dear friend, colleague, and teacher, Tommy Rosen, talking about one simple breath exercise that's allowed me to fall back to sleep when I awake in the night due to racing thoughts. So sit back, relax, and learn from a man I am so happy and grateful to learn from myself, Mr. Tommy Rosen. And I'll see you on the other side. Tommy Rosen is a yoga teacher and addiction recovery expert who has spent the last 2 decades immersed in yoga, recovery, and wellness. He holds certifications in both Kundalini and Hatha yoga and has 28 years. Are we at 28 years now, Tommy?
29.
29 years of continuous recovery from drug addiction. Whew. Tommy is one of the pioneers in the field of yoga and recovery, assisting others to holistically transcend addictions of all kinds. Tommy is the founder and host of the Recovery 2.0 Beyond Addiction online conference series and the Move Beyond group coaching program. He leads Recovery 2.0 retreats and workshops internationally that my wife and I have attended, and they are amazing, and presents regularly at yoga conferences and festivals. Tommy's first book, Recovery 2.0 Move Beyond Addiction and Upgrade Your Life, was published by Hay House in October of 2014. Tommy, welcome to the summit.
Thank you, Tim, so much. I'm truly so grateful to be here and just thrilled that you are doing this summit in the first place, and thrilled to be next to you, digitally speaking, if not physically together, this is a good second possibility.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Before we begin, what was your favorite concert?
Yes, I'm going to have to go with the Grateful Dead, 6/16/85, 6/16, June 16th, 1985, at the Greek Theater in Berkeley, California. Highlights from the show, just want to simply say it was the first time in maybe 13 years, something like that, that the Grateful Dead had played the entire suite of That's It for the Other One. That's It for the Other One, Cryptical Envelopment. Unbelievable moment in my life, never to be forgotten, indelibly, imprinted on my brain. And I strongly encourage all of you to go find that show on the internet and listen to it. Very good.
That is outstanding. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, because if there's one thing that unites us all, it's our passion for our favorite music. So thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
And the Greek Theater, what a backdrop. Oh my God. What a place.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy, take it away.
Okay.
Teach us.
Great. So I just want to preface this by saying, in all seriousness, just immense gratitude to Tim, Tim's wife, the entire Ringgold posse, because these guys have had to do what anyone has to do to pull off something important, and that's to work very, very hard and diligently. And I've done so many of these conferences myself. I know what goes into it. I know everything that's involved. So wonderful, Tim. Congratulations on using your consciousness and your energy to such a great thing. And how appropriate a topic for all of us. Stress. So I feel that you can interchange the word addiction and stress. You can just interchange the word, like, oh, I'm an addict. I experience incredible stress. You couldn't be an addict if you didn't experience incredible stress and choose addictive behaviors to solve that stress. What we're here to talk about today are solutions. We are right now in a laboratory called the planet Earth. And in this laboratory right now, the heat has been turned up. And we have newfound ways to be stressed, newfound reasons, new stories, all kinds of challenges and difficulties which have come to us just this year, 2020, just this year, to make it even more difficult to just simply be here. And stress comes in. Since I'm very limited in my time with you today, I want to state my intention, and then I want to get right into it. Because we are in a laboratory where we are being given an opportunity to feel what really intense stress is like, we want to immediately move into actions, move into routines, philosophies. We want to adopt philosophies into our life and practices and principles into our life that helps us every morning in the morning in particular, because that's the beginning of the day ahead. We want to bring these principles and practices into our lives so that we have even a shot at going through a day, managing our stress, being able to get beyond that anxiety, the fear, the difficulty of this moment, of any moment, and being able to transcend it and move into a place of centeredness and being able to be more skillful and more effective, more fulfilled as a human being. The problem is that when we're in patterns of stress, we don't get to be fulfilled. We only get to feel ourselves as a person either in stress or chasing something to get out of stress. But until we finally move beyond that pattern of stress, we will always be on that treadmill. We'll always be vulnerable to that terrible way of living, which really is a pure form of poverty. And that's the poverty of either being stressed or trying to get out of stress. And that is the sum total of your life's effort. Your creativity, your spontaneity, your ability to love, to really show up in the moment for somebody and for yourself, it's just taken away behind this thing called stress. So we want to move right into solutions for that. In my work in the world, well, in my story, I know what this is like firsthand. And I know what it's like to live in chronic stress. And I lived in chronic stress for the first, I would say, generally speaking, ins and outs. I would say I lived in chronic stress basically for the first 40 years of my life. Now, that doesn't mean that my life was imploding. And that doesn't mean that I was even unhappy for large amounts of time. It just means that there was an underlying sense of something not being okay that fueled my way of being in the world, and that fueled my actions, my words, and my deeds in the world. And I was that person who was either stressed or chasing something, adventure, sex, drugs, alcohol, movement, chasing anything to not be able to be still, because in stillness, what I experienced was great stress. So if you can relate to that idea, then perhaps you'll be able to relate to this. After a while, when you're on that treadmill and you haven't really solved the stress issue, you may not notice that you're stressed any longer. But what happens is often something either emotional or physical takes place in your life to bring your attention to the fact that things are not okay. For me, it was both physical and emotional. Emotionally, in my relationships, and I mean all my relationships with friends, with family, romantic relationships, I experienced a lot of challenge, a lot of negativity, a lot of judgment, a lot of difficulty. In my relationships with women and romantic relationships, a lot of just stress, unrest, discomfort, not comfortable in my own skin. And physically, what I was experiencing was tightness in the body. And tightness showed up for me in my lower back. So I had a lot of pain, chronic pain in the body. All of this coming from stress. Okay, so if you're with me so far, at the end of this, what ended up happening for me was I found my way to a teacher who really actually understood this thing called stress. And he understood the solution to it. And what he would say to me, he delivered a famous line to me. And he said, Tommy, I know, this is the first appointment I had with this gentleman. He said, Tommy, I know how you're going to die. Now, no one had ever said that to me before. And he had my attention. And I said, okay, how am I going to die? And he said, you're going to die on an exhale. That'll be the last thing you do. And I thought about that, and I found that to be a true statement, that the last thing I'm going to do on this planet is going to be exhale. And he said, that's right. And when you were born, you came in on an inhale, just like everybody else. He said, from this moment on, the more you pay conscious attention to your breath, that will determine the depth of your healing and the length to which you can go in this life. The depth of your healing and the length to which you can go in this life. Now, I was basically crippled at this point in my life. I could walk, but not without pain. I was just in physical pain all of the time. I was 35 years old. I had been an athlete, very active in my life, and I didn't know what had gone on. But I ended up in this man's office in so much pain, and he's telling me, you need to pay attention to your breath. And the first thing my mind did was say, it can't be that simple. I don't believe it. Really? You mean it's been under my nose the whole time, literally? And I'm like, no, doesn't make sense to me. He's like, no, it's true. If you pay conscious attention to your breath from this moment on, it will determine the depth of your healing and the length to which you can go in this life. I did what this man told me to do, and religiously, I approached it like religiously. Didn't miss an appointment, did everything he told me to do. And in 90 days, after seeing him the first time, my back pain went away. I've never looked back. That was 17 years ago. And, I had doctors telling me that I was going to be on drugs for the rest of my life and have surgery and all this. But no, he taught me a series of breaths and a series of movements that changed the tension pattern of stress in my body. These breaths were able to release and change the tension pattern that had established itself in my body from a lifelong addiction, I guess, to stress. So what I want to do now is I want to share with you one of the most powerful breaths that you can do. I mean, there's so much I would like to share with you, but right now we'll just go with one. And it's kind of fun. You come sit up nice and tall. And what we can do is we can do this breath for 3 minutes together. And then we'll sit for 60 seconds afterward just to have a feeling of what the breath did. So what I'll have you do is I'll just bring the fingertips together. So the pinkies will touch, the ring fingers will touch, the middle fingers will touch, and then the index fingers will touch, and the thumbs will touch. So you make a little teepee with your hands. And I'd like you to bring the teepee right here around the heart center. So you're not touching your chest, but you're a little bit away from the chest. Now your eyes are going to be just gently soft. Just soften the eyes and just look downward. So you can see the tips of your fingers. It's just a simple softness. Now the breath rhythm that we'll get into together, I'd like you to inhale for 5 seconds. I'd like you to pause for 5 seconds. And I'd like you to exhale for 5 seconds. We'll do it together. And I just want to tell you before we begin why we're going to do this breath rhythm. Stress, when you're stressed, you don't breathe well. You breathe shallowly. When you're anxious or worried, you breathe shallowly. And you really never take a full breath. You don't take time with your breath. So here, by setting up a breath rhythm, a steady rhythm, we're going to send a signal to your body and to your mind that the core need of the body is being met. The core need of the body is your breath. It's more important than anything else. And in fact, your whole body is set up just to protect the heart and the lungs and to protect your breath. When you don't breathe well, you reinforce stress. When you breathe well, this is the antidote to stress. This is what my teacher was teaching me when he said, if you pay attention to your breath, it will determine the depth of your healing. So we're going to do that together now for 3 minutes. I have us on the clock. This is right in front of the heart, and you should be sitting up nice and tall, whether you're on a chair or on a couch or on the floor like I am. Just sit up tall so that your heart lifts and your spine extends. Now, gently soften the eyes and look downward. And now I'm going to count this out for you, and we'll go for 3 minutes. I'll begin by counting, and then I'm going to go silent and allow you to continue the rhythm on your own. But we'll go for a minute here together, okay? So let's begin. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause the breath. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. This is inhaling and exhaling through the nose. 4, 5. Pause the breath. 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Pause the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Pause the breath. Exhale. I'd like you to continue on your own now. I'll go silent for the next minute or so and just continue. Inhaling 5, pausing for 5, exhaling for 5, and then repeating. We'll do one more round together. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause the breath. Exhale. And relax. Turn the palms face up on your knees and bring the thumb and forefinger together just like that. Palms face up. Close the eyes. And simply feel your experience. There's no judgment or really just, it's a feeling. It's an awareness of what you're feeling. No great analysis, just I feel relaxed, I feel stressed, I feel tension, I feel great, I feel free, I feel liberated. Whatever is going on for you, just notice it. You're drawing your attention inward and scanning the body. What does it feel like to be in this body right now? See if you can tune into any shift that's taken place for you. Very good. Now thank yourself in your mind. Use your first name. And thank yourself for just doing this practice and for being here today. Work the muscle of gratitude right now. Actually, work yourself into gratitude. Actually, try to be grateful in this moment for everything. All the blessings of your life, even the challenges. And take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, gently come with the eyes open. And relax. So good. So that was about 5 minutes. And, you know, any one of us at any moment of the day, regardless of what's going on, we can find time to take a 5-minute break. And my hope is that as you're sitting here and as you came through that very, very brief exercise, that you feel a sense of calmness or being relaxed, that a shift has taken place. And literally together, what we just did is not only did we pay attention to the breath and create a rhythm in our breathing and send a signal to the body that our core need is met, that we can actually relax. We're talking to the nervous system, and we're saying to the nervous system, everything's okay. And that is going to be the mechanism by which we start to move beyond stress. It's a practice. It's something that we want to do more and more of every day. And to put it in perspective for you, most of us are in the opposite mode most of the time. So we're in fight, flight, stress, move, got to get it done. There's too much on my plate. I feel anxiety. How am I going to get the energy to get through this day? My goodness, I've got to get my kids out the door, or I don't get to get my kids out the door these days. You know, whatever the stress is, it's there usually before we even open our eyes in the morning. And if you don't interrupt that habit, it's just a habit. If you don't interrupt it, then you'll be at its mercy for most of the day until you do interrupt it. So when I say take a bunch of 5-minute breaks or 10-minute breaks or whatever you can do, or 30-minute breaks, and throw yourself into conscious awareness of breathing. You know, you can do this anywhere, anytime. If it's weird because you're around other people, forget about the hands coming together. Just relax, sit somewhere quietly, close the eyes, and get into your breath rhythm of 5 inhale, 5 pause, 5 exhale. You can do it anytime, anywhere. And if you were to do this at regular intervals throughout the day, after a couple of weeks, you would find that your nervous system has responded and you're actually in a different reality because we are experiencing the world through this 5 sensory nervous system. And if you can work with the nervous system to calm it down when it needs to be calm, or to activate it when you need a little get up and go, either way, then that's a great skill to develop. And we're talking about the skill of altering your emotional state. And therefore working with practices that can really truly help you move beyond stress. And that's the topic at hand here. So this and another 1,000 breaths are available to you. This is free. You get to do this now. And I hope that I've inspired you enough that this has completely changed my life. Completely. And the things and the blessings in my life that are there in part because I've dedicated myself to a breath and meditation practice. And so now, we all must do this. We must consider this a responsibility. It's a response ability. We need to have that. We need it now more than ever. So again, Tim, thank you for having me. And we can open up for Q&A for a few minutes if that's okay.
That was amazing, Tommy. Thank you so much. I know I love hearing your story about finding yourself on the mat with Guru Prem. And it reminds me every time I hear it of how powerful the breath can be in restoring someone's health. And wow, like talk about credibility, given where you were and where you are today from that. So thank you for that. Where can people find out more about you online?
Everything that I'm involved with is on the Recovery 2.0 site. That's r20.com. We have a new membership, which is at members.r20.com. You can join our membership, or you can get involved in all of our free front-facing offerings as well. Just depends on how deep you want to go. We have a wonderful community, and everybody kind of wants everyone else to succeed. So it's really loving and beautiful. So yeah, come and join us, r20.com.
It is a beautiful community, and I've had the privilege of presenting to Tommy's community a couple of times, and the culture in there, the beauty, the love, the support, the camaraderie, it's beautiful. You've created a beautiful community. So kudos for curating and creating, being the source of that.
We're all so blessed to have each other.
Yeah, totally. All right. Thanks, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thanks so much for checking out this episode of Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold. I've got a couple of resources for you, which you can find in the show notes or you can listen to right here. So check it out. If you enjoy the sound of my voice and you enjoy the sound of my guitar, imagine them put together. Go to sonicrecovery.com and take your very own relaxation vacation, where I take you out of the stress of the present moment and back in time to a time when you felt happy, healthy, safe, and sober, and then walk you through that memory so you can bring back those feelings into the challenges you're facing today. So go check that out. It's at sonicrecovery.com. If you're a healthcare worker in recovery, check out the Music in Recovery Self-Care Guide for healthcare professionals that I created just for you. That's at hcp.sonicrecovery.com. And if you're a healthcare worker and you'd like more information about how to help your patients use music, you can check out the Music Medicine Guide that I created just for you at musicmedicineguide.com. Lastly, if you enjoyed the pod and you haven't done it yet, would you just take a minute to rate and review it? It really only takes about 60 seconds, believe it or not, and it would go a long way to help us make more people know just how good this pod is, particularly for healthcare workers and their stress. Thanks again. See you next time.